Hello! So, this little bundle of joy is now 5 weeks old. Let's make your Jellybean Chronicle debut there, son. It's been crazy, obviously. Look at my hair. Look at my makeup. Or lack thereof. Look at Salem looking at me like I'm a weirdo. Salem, I'm not a weirdo. I'm your mom. Ooh, hello. Anyways, so maybe I thought we'd tell you about how Salem came to this little world. So, let's see. I had to start going to the doctor every 2 days in December because I started to get super high blood pressure. And if you've seen the Jellybean Chronicles, you saw my face. It was starting to get like super bloated, and I mean I was starting to gain like 8 pounds a week. It was creepy. Anyways, so sorry for all the hubble and jubble with the camera. Okay, so I was on the 2-day doctor plan, and on the second day, so let me backtrack. I just barely hit 37 weeks. So then you go in for your weekly appointments, and then when you hit another time, then you go on daily appointments. So I was on my second weekly appointment, and then I started having to go every other day. So on my second appointment of those, they said, you're having your baby tonight, which I knew it was coming. So, let's get Salem in the picture. Less of my ugly face. And so we went in there because my blood pressure was like 185 over whatever. So then I went in that night, and they're like, oh, no rush. You can come in whenever you want tonight. And I'm like, I've got really high blood pressure and I can have a stroke any minute, according to the doctor. Or my mom, I can't remember. So we went in there, and they started putting me on the little pill thing and such, and nothing happened the next morning. So that was 12 hours later. They did 2 of those. And they kept and they put me on magnesium, which made me feel like poop. And, yeah. So, then at like 1 o'clock that afternoon, they said, you probably need to have a nap. So, because I was feeling the contractions somewhat, but I wasn't dilating at all. So, what's this face you're making, Bubba? Boo-boo? Cutie? Cupcake? I don't know. This is not a face he usually makes. Anyways, so, he's got a little war wound today. I was clipping his fingernails, and I missed the fingernail. He remembers. Little baby. Little baby. I know you're tired, but you won't sleep. What am I supposed to do? So, I went on an epidural at 1 o'clock, and then Dev kept disappearing the whole day. He was installing the car seats, he was doing this, hanging out with pals in the parking lot, and I was starting to get mad because I'm like going through all these painful contractions, and I could have had other people in the room, but he didn't want, he just kept leaving, which was fine for some of the things, but then when the contractions started getting really bad, he'd be like, I'm going down to the car for like an hour each time, and I'm like, what the hell, like, I know we're not a couple, but, he can stop texting whoever, I assumed it was some girl, I imagine, and I'm like, I'm going through pain having our baby, get your butt up here, finally, after, like, an hour, the umpteenth time that day, I was like, I need you up in here now, I've been in pain most of the 25 hours, and he wasn't there for most of the 25 hours, so I was starting to get, like, really emotionally pissed, because the epidural started not working anymore. It was still going in my little epidural spot, but it was just not working anymore. So I said, you need to get up here now. I was trying to say in my nicest text, but I was kind of moody. And they examined me again, and I went from 5 inches for the past like 8 hours to 9.5 suddenly. So like, you're having this baby now. I'm like, oh my gosh, okay, well, I'm glad you finally decided to come upstairs at 10:30 at night, or whatever. So then they start having me push and everything. They're like, push, push, push. And they had popped my water at about 1:32 when I started the epidural. So he was all squished And, he wasn't feeling like his cute little bubble. He was just, you could feel a bony body in there. And his head was right there. I just wasn't. So I'm kind of glad I was on the magnesium, because if I wasn't, he'd probably have to get an epidural, because magnesium slows not only me down, but him down, which comes into play a little bit later. So I pushed for 20 minutes. I'm pushing. They had the nurse there, the nurse on call, or the head nurse, And then I guess once you get the head out, they called the doctor, and even though my doctor was there waiting all night for me to have this baby, Dr. Stinger. So I pushed the head out in like record time, I guess. And I'm like, I had nothing in my belly except water. Well, I'm on oxygen too, and the oxygen was drying out in my throat, and I was still like coughing, and so I was like, give me some water. So all I had in my belly was like water and Jello, and so I finally I got to head out. They went to go get the doctor, and I had said, I'm like, I'm gonna throw up, and I'm like, but there's nothing in my belly. What am I gonna throw up? And I hand Dev the little blue bag anyways, and then all of a sudden I'm like puking, and it's like just water, so it's just shooting like a fountain out of my mouth all over Dev, and I puke Salem out. That's how he came out. I puked him out. They were trying to hold his, because nobody had the sterile gloves on yet, because they had just changed him to get the doctor. So I imagine, I'm not sure how this happened, but once his head is out, they're like, do you want to see it? Like, he's crowned. Like, do you want to see it? I'm like, no, I don't want to see that. Get this baby out of me. Let's not take no breaks. And the lady at one point was like, once the crown, he was kind of crowning a little bit, she's like, I'm going to go get some water. And I'm like, does nobody have a sense of urgency around here about this baby? Maybe they thought it was going to take a while. Maybe they thought, I don't know how long pushing takes. I don't know. So they go to get the doctor, and I imagine he just is running in by the time I puke Salem out in his little, and he catches him like in the last final, because seriously, the nurse was keeping his shoulders in through the outside. You know what I'm saying? She was like, stay in, because I was just puking him right out. And that's what happened. I puked him out. Yep. So anyway, so then he came out, and he was super cute. Looked like a little doll. No swelling, no nothing. None of these weird... I've seen some newborn pictures, and there might be people that say their babies weren't swollen, but I was lucky. So he wasn't swollen in any way. He just looked like a little doll. A little Salem doll. And he was 6 pounds, 13 ounces, and like 19.5 inches long or something. So I breastfed him and whatever, and after an hour and a half, they're like, you know what? He's just breathing too fast. We're going to take him to the NICU, because he was breathing really, really fast, and he wasn't stopping. So they did some chest x-rays, and I couldn't move for a while because of the magnesium and whatever. I had to be on the magnesium for an extra 24 hours. So I had to stay in labor and delivery for an extra day and a half, 2 days, an extra 2 days, I think. And then I had to go over to the recovery side or something. So Dev had a hard time when he went to the NICU, because he was holding, this little newborn's holding his little finger, and they're putting all these IVs in him, and Dev said that was pretty hard to watch. And so I went in there as soon as I could, and they wouldn't let me breastfeed him, and they actually had to starve him for a day to take tests. So they gave him just proteins in his IV. So he lost a bunch of weight. So then the struggle was to get him up to weight and get him up to feeding, which was 2 ounces by the time he left. So they took some x-rays of him for pneumonia, because they thought maybe he aspirated. They never said he aspirated, and his chest x-rays were cloudy, but they never got any better or worse. So I think that was just his baseline, and just to be careful, they treated him for antibiotics for 7 days. So they had to keep him in the hospital. And then he got the beryllium treatments, and then he got IVs, kept blowing through his IVs, and they had to put him in his cute little head. A couple times I walked in and they're putting one in his head, and I just started bawling. I didn't bawl at all, but that time when I see an IV trying to go into his head, I'm like, ugh. I started crying to Dev. Anyway, so Monday, so I had him on Thursday, and then Monday they said he was just drinking like an ounce. And they said that he was drinking like a dropper full, just that. And they said he needs to get up by 2 ounces, and then he can go home. And I'm like, I'm never getting this baby home. I'm driving up like 4 times, 5 times a day to breastfeed him every 3 hours. my gas was going. I found out my job, like, fired or, like, laid me off while I was on maternity leave. So that's great. What kind of company does that? And I talked to a bunch of, resolution people, lawyers, things like that, and there's no resolution I want from that company besides just never having to deal with them again, because what kind of company does that to a mother? I have no way. I'm living on pennies right now. Have to apply for food stamps. I'm a full-time student. My only job that I make money at is waitressing, because that's all I have time for. I have a newborn, and I'm a full-time student, and I have to take out loans, $23,000, $24,000 a year. So I'm budgeting very carefully with a newborn, and my only money is off of waitressing. So yeah, there's no time for a job, because the only time I could work would be overnight, and that's when I have him, is overnight. So with the custody thing that we have, so, and I don't make any money, so I can't afford to pay a babysitter. So it's like catch-22, I guess. So whatever, that's fine. So we bring this little man home, and he's so cute. He's finally got a little dimple on his right cheek, and he's starting to develop my chin. I think he's got a mix between me and Dev's nose. We can't tell if he's ginger, blonde, or brown-haired yet, because it's changing, I swear, in any light. See, look, what's up with these looks? He doesn't look in the mirror, but he finally... Yeah, that's you. Oh, yeah. And, people say he has no butt. I haven't had a chance to look at his butt, So, I lost at least 40 pounds after the baby. With all the whatever. My blood pressure was still high. I just barely got off the blood pressure medicine yesterday. So we'll see how that turns out. School is doing okay. Just trying to figure out this little man. He gets his blessing next week. We've been trying to keep him away from public, because, especially when he got out of the NICU, because he came home on Christmas Day, and he was, barely back up to birth weight, which was 613. So he was a week old still at birth weight. He's supposed to gain a half an ounce to an ounce a day. And so we've just been trying to get him fat. He's a breastfed baby, but you can't tell because he's still so skinny. Yep. So I lost 40 pounds, magnesium, ate a lot of cucumbers. So, yeah, that's us. This cutie little boy who likes to jump. I don't know if I can be able to show you. But he just... Oh, are you finally getting tired? He's entered into the cutest baby contest. And today, we didn't get very many votes. I'm the oldest of 57 cousins on my mom's side. I don't think anybody voted. Dev's friends with like 6,000 people. Hardly any of them voted. So, thank you to the ones who have voted. I think, honestly, like, a lot of people didn't know that the contest was happening, because a lot of my friends had babies. So I think that they were upset that they didn't get to enter their baby in the contest. So they didn't vote for my baby, which is kind of weird. It's kind of jealous. Moody. Something. So, yep. He loves his Rockabye Baby and Twinkle Twinkle Little Rock Star. Yes, where you can listen to lullaby versions of Judas Priest, Slipknot, all kinds of stuff. No corn that I've heard. You need to start cracking on that. So, yep. Say goodbye, little man. I'm not sure if that was speech, but I'll take it. And I will try to put on makeup next time. Bye!